When the power goes out, don't be left in the dark. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. A couple of weeks ago, we woke up to hear this message on our NOAA weather radio.
Tree limbs could be blown down and a few power outages may result. Additional details. Locally, higher wind gusts over 60 miles per hour will be possible in showers.
Yeah, they sounded really certain that we were absolutely, positively going to have power outages with really high winds. Now, it did give us pause to consider whether we are actually really ready for a power outage. Here's the thing with power outages. They don't come when you expect them.
That's right.
And so thinking ahead and being ready for them is super important. Now, we just did a 2-part series on winter storm preparedness, and we gave you lots and lots of tips and suggestions. We're going to make sure that that series is linked in the description of this video. Now, several of you suggested in the comments section that we might want to look into getting a portable power station.
So we were really excited when Oupes reached out to us and offered to allow us to take their 1100 watt unit for a test run. They also included the 2 optional 100 watt folding solar panels so we could generate some electricity in the backyard and explain how it works.
Now, in this video, we're going to explain how the Oupes 1100 works, what we liked about it. We're also going to do a direct comparison to a gas generator to tell you what the differences are between the 2 units. And then make sure you stick with us because we put the Oupes 1100 through its paces. And we used it to power a number of different items that you may very well want to have on hand and want to be able to power during a power outage. And we're going to tell you how it performed. And yet another reason to stick around, we're going to tell you at the end that Oupes has provided a 20% off exclusive coupon for Under the Median viewers. There's going to be a link to Oupes and that coupon code in the description of the video.
Make sure you use the link that Hope has provided in the description that goes directly to Oupes' own homepage. You do not want to use Amazon for this. Amazon is not where you're going to get the 20% off. You're going to get it right directly from their website through our link Under the Median. So what we have here behind us is the 1100 watt portable power station. And this can be used during emergencies, but it doesn't have to be. You can use it to go camping. You can take it on picnics. Wherever you want portable power, this unit will deliver. So what is a portable power station? Well, that's simply a portable power unit that has many features at its fingertips. It is extremely easy to use, compact, and has a lot to deliver. It has 3 AC outlets that are pure sine wave. That's the same kind of power that you get from your wall outlet. So it's safe to run virtually anything off of it as long as it's under 1100 watts. It has several DC outlets. That allows you to charge your phone, your laptop, anything that runs off of USB-A or USB-C ports will charge with that. It also has a 12-volt adapter that you can plug in a CPAP machine, a portable refrigerator. Anything that runs on 12 volts can be run off of this as long as it's 10 amps or less. It's extremely well designed. It has an easy to read, bright display. The display gives you a lot of information that you're going to need. It shows you what the input wattage is when you're charging it. And it also shows you how long it's going to charge, how many hours, how many minutes at that rate. It shows you the discharge rate. How many hours can you run this unit based on what it's now supplying in power? So it shows you the hours or minutes left. It's awesome. I really like that. It doesn't leave you in the dark. It indicates when it's charging. The display has a it's a ring that has different sections on it that circle as it's charging. That lets you know it's indeed charging. When it's discharging, those segments will disappear one at a time to give you an idea of how much percentage is left on the battery. But it also gives you a numerical readout on that percentage. There are 2 switches on the front. One is for the AC side, That turns on your inverter, and the other is for the DC side. Well, why is that important? Well, you don't want to run all the power on it all at once. If you're only going to need DC, you don't want to be running that inverter because that uses some power when it's turned on. So this saves the battery on it.
Now, Larry just gave you all the stats on it. I'm going to tell you what I really liked about it. It is very intuitive. I know virtually nothing about electricity, and it took me about 2 minutes to familiarize myself with it and to feel confident that I could use it in case of a power outage. The other thing that I really, really like, it is not super heavy. So I would be very comfortable having to carry this from one room to the next. Let's say if something happened and he was not at home, it would be very, very doable for me to be able to carry the unit myself.
Yeah, and really it's not very big. The unit's only about a foot wide, maybe 9 inches deep. So it's extremely small for what it does. That's the first thing that I was amazed about. I said, my gosh, this is a lot smaller than I would expect for an item that will deliver 1100 watts. Now, it uses a 992 watt battery. Now, what does that mean? It means it will deliver 992 watts in an hour if you need it to deliver that much power. Most of the time, you're going to be running it on a lot less. So depending on how much you draw off of the battery will tell how long the power station will supply power for that particular need. It comes with an awesome battery, and this is the newest technology.
This really impressed us.
Yeah, this is the newest technology in lithium batteries. It comes with a lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, that's different than a lithium ion battery. Here's the advantages of the lithium iron phosphate. For one, it's better than the lithium ion. It takes more charges. A lithium ion is only rated at about 500 charges or less. Now, that depends on how much you charge it and discharge it. Now, the lithium iron phosphate battery, this one's rated to run 3,600 times. Wow. 3,600 times. So basically, you could charge this once a day for 10 years, and that battery would still be usable. It's safer and less prone to overheating than the lithium ion. It has a very stable battery chemistry. It can be stored longer. It does weigh more, however, but it will last a lot longer. It's made out of very heavy-duty ABS plastic. This is not a cheap build. And it also has a rubber coating. All of this orange around it is rubberized, but it is very durable unit. So for charging, there's 3 different ways to charge the unit. The first is the power adapter that comes with it. This power adapter is rated at 200 watts. It actually delivers an input power of 180 watts to the unit, and it will charge the unit up from about 5% battery to 100% in 5.5 hours. Now that's something that I have done with it. So I believe the manual says 6 hours for charging off of that, and it's a really heavy duty brick. It will get a little warm, so you want to make sure you don't have it covered with papers or under a blanket or under clothing or cloth while you're charging it. Leave that to the air so it'll dissipate the heat. The next way that it'll charge is it comes with a car cord that can be plugged into your cigarette lighter on your car. And that will charge it in about 10 to 12 hours. And once again, this all depends on how discharged it is. So if it's not discharged a lot, if you only run it down to 70%, well, it'll charge up a lot faster than that. For solar charging, it comes with 2 of these 100-watt panels, and they're folded. And as you can see, they're very compact. These are very efficient panels. They do a lot better job than my huge 175-watt panels that I used to have on my house. I tried them both together, and these delivered in a low afternoon sun, and right now when I was testing it, we're talking the end of November, it was delivering 150 watts into the power station, which is almost as good as the power brick. So when you're charging in a little brighter sun, it will probably keep even with that power adapter that comes with it. So that will charge it up in about, they say 8 to 10 hours. Depends on the solar conditions. If it's cloudy, it's going to take longer. I would recommend a nice bright sun. Keep it at a 90-degree angle from the panel.
Now, something that's always a concern for me, I know, is like, so, you know, especially if you have kids in the house or grandkids, it's like, so what protections does this thing have built into it? Has a lot of built-in protections, guys. It's not going to overload. It's not going to overheat. It's not going to short circuit. It's got all the protections built in to keep it from discharging too fast or too slow. So
or too much,
yeah,
because you don't want to take it all the way down to absolute zero. So it does have all kinds of built-in parameters, which makes it an extremely safe unit. And the unit will power 10 devices at once if you need it to.
We plugged in several things simultaneously, guys. We're going to show you. Remember to stick with us because we're going to show you all the test run we did with it. We've had it for, 2-3 weeks now, so we have put it through its paces. We're going to show you what kind of devices that you can power with the Oupes 1100 and how it did.
In regards to charging, it allows pass-through charging. Well, what is pass-through charging?
No idea.
That means that while you're charging the unit up, you can still use it on both the AC and the DC side. So you can be charging it on solar at your campsite, and you can still be running your coffee maker or whatever else you want to have plugged into it. A lot of units won't do this. So, and in fact, several features that this unit has, a lot of them don't have. So that I was extremely impressed with how well this was engineered. Now, if you're going to plug more than one device in, you have to make sure that the total wattage is less than 1100. And I would recommend getting one of these.
Now, we have mentioned a kilowatt meter many, many times on this program. We're going to make sure there's a link to one in the description of the video. We have one. We use it all the time.
Basically, what you want to do with this is test out your appliances that you think you would like to run on the Oupes. So you plug the unit itself into the wall and you plug the appliance in here that you want to test. You press the watt button and that will show you the amount of watts that it's using. I did this with every item that I ran through this to make sure it wasn't going to overload it. Now, should you overload the unit, it simply shuts off. It doesn't damage it because I overloaded it with a coffee maker that was rated at about 1250 watts and it wouldn't run that one. So this will tell you exactly what appliances you can use with it. What I like about this unit that a lot of units differ on is that it will not shut off automatically because there's no power consumption. Now, as you know, a refrigerator cycles on and off. The compressor goes on and off, set to the thermostat. Some of these will shut off because it says, oh, there's no more power coming, so we're going to save the battery and shut it off. Well, what's that going to do to your food? It's going to ruin your food because it shut the whole refrigerator off. This doesn't do that. It'll run, and it's safe to use with a refrigerator. And another thing that comes with the solar panels is that they come with a Y jack, which means you can plug two panels in at the same time because it only has one 12-volt input on it. Actually, I think it's 30 volts to 12 volts. It can vary a little bit of how much input voltage you put into the battery. The neat thing about this, let me just flip this around here. And I really like this feature. I don't know how this is going to do on camera. Oh, it works fine. It has a built-in LED area light. So it has a low setting, which I think is about 500 lumens. And then it has a high setting, which is 1,000 lumens. Now that's as good as most of our flashlights and as good as our little portable lantern. This will light up a room. Not real bright, but it lights it up enough you can see to get around.
You can read by it. Because you have been.
If you have
yeah.
it sitting on a desk near you, you can easily read by it. It has plenty of light for that. On the high setting, it'll run indefinitely, and that only uses 6 watts off of the battery, so it doesn't really use a lot of power. That can run a very long time off of this with a 992 watt-hour battery.
Now, we did note that some of the other portable power stations that we looked at did come with a light, but the light was not nearly as big nor nearly as bright. And this light we thought was incredibly practical. So we really, really liked that.
Well, some of the units come with a real little small, it's basically a flashlight, and they even put those on some of their bigger units. And I didn't think that was very practical. It's still nice to have.
Now we know how it's built, how it's designed, how it's engineered, what it will do, and we're going to compare it now to another really, really familiar form of auxiliary power, and that is a gas generator. There are some distinctive differences between the Oupes 1100 and a gas generator, and yes, we have both.
So the Oupes 1100 is very easy to operate. A gas generator isn't. Now, the gas generator that I have, you have to set the choke, you have to turn the fuel on, you have to give it a pull. It's really hard to pull. I really don't think Hope could even start the thing, and so on. So it's a little bit more to running a gas generator. This is very easy and intuitive to use. The Oupes 1100 is quiet. These don't make any noise. There's a little bit of a fan noise if you're plugging a lot into it. If you're running a coffee maker, you'll hear a fan running on high speed. That's to cool down all the components and the battery, the inverter, and so on that's built into the unit. Now, a gas generator is just downright noisy. This unit can be used indoors. A gas generator with its fumes and carbon monoxide has to be kept outdoors. It has to be kept downwind, so you're not blowing that back into the house. You cannot take a gas generator inside. So you really can't use a gas generator if you're in an apartment situation or a condominium. This you can. You can use this in an apartment. This uses renewable energy. It can be charged off of your AC line voltage, of course, but because you can charge it off of solar, you have an indispensable amount of power supply for it. A gas generator, you're limited to the amount of gas you have on hand or whether it's even available. If you have an area-wide power outage, gas stations may not be open. It depends on if they have their own gas generators there to operate their station. But if you can't get gas, a gas generator isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. There's very little to no maintenance on this unit. And a gas generator, you have to change the oil. You have to start it once a month and make sure it's going to run. You have to do maintenance on it. You have to change the spark plug. You might have to have it serviced. This, very little to no maintenance. You just have to make sure if you're going to store it, you want to store the battery at about 50%. Beyond that, there's just not a whole lot you really have to do to maintain one of these power stations. They're much cheaper to operate than a gas generator. They're simply, if you're running it off the sun, it's not costing you anything to supply power for it. Whereas you're at the mercy of the gas prices with a gas generator. So if gas prices go up, it's going to be more expensive, of course, to run those. Now here's a couple of flip-flops on that. These are more expensive to buy. So these units will sell for around $1,200 with the solar panels. A gas generator, like the one that I have, might cost you $600 to $700 on your initial outlay. So they are a little bit cheaper. Actually, the one that I bought was even cheaper than that.
They have gone up in price recently, though.
Oh, yeah.
Gas generators have.
Yeah, they have. So a gas generator is cheaper to purchase. This unit will take longer to recharge than a gas generator. All you have to do to recharge a gas generator is fill it with gas, which takes about maybe 5 minutes at the most. This has limited power from your charge. You can only run it so long and then you're out of battery. Where a gas generator, you can run it indefinitely as long as you have gas. So as long as you're putting gas into it, it will work for you. And a gas generator, of course, if you have a big one, will supply power to major appliances like your full-size refrigerators, freezer, maybe your garage door opener, major things, your AC in your house, your heating plant, whatever you use, it's over the 1100 watt rating you can run. Microwave ovens, so on, you can run with a gas generator that you probably can't run with this little battery backup.
Now, we did put some thought into exactly what you may need to run during a power outage. So we did a little bit of a test run with the Oupes 1100 to see what it would run and what it would not run.
I was kind of amazed, actually, at what it would run, because I figured you're talking maybe lights, your TV set, powering your laptop, and so on, but it will do more than that. During a power outage, you might want to have coffee. So we found out that this will run our Hamilton Beach coffee maker. It's rated at 764 watts. So I actually ran 4 complete pots through, and that ran it from 100% down to 5%. 4 entire pots. That goes for about 15 minutes per pot in order to brew a pot of coffee.
During a power outage, you might want some electric blankets to sit under and stay snugly warm. So here's what we found out about our electric blankets.
It will run a heating blanket, which runs from anywhere from about 100 to 120 watts. And they cycle on and off. So it'll run several nights on a heating blanket.
What if it's really warm and you really want to have a fan running, Larry?
Yep, it'll run a fan easily. The little fan that we have runs at about 90 watts. It'll run that for a very long time if you're just running the fan.
But what if it's cold outside, Larry, and you want an electric heater?
Well, it'll run some portable heaters and some not. Most portable heaters are rated anywhere from 1400 to 1600 watts. It will not run any of those. It will run our little parabolic dish heater. It's a radiant heater. It will run that heater. It will run, and this was really amazing to me, that it will run our sump pump. Now, the sump pump is about a 1/3 horse motor. With motors, you have to allow for about double the amount of rated wattage for startup power. So they start up about somewhere around 600 watts on the one that we have, and it'll run that beautifully. I really believe that would run for several days because, once again, they cycle on and cycle off. So we gave that a good test run.
Now, we did try it with our large vacuum cleaner, and nope, the Oupes 1100 would not run it. But, more important even than a large vacuum cleaner, you might want to have your shop vac, depending on what the weather-related emergency is and while your power is out, you may need to suck up some water, right? And so it absolutely will run a shop vac.
It will certainly run that. I was a little surprised that it would run that. I was amazed that it would run our shop air compressor. It comes in at about 352 watts. You might want an air compressor in order to put some air in your tires on your car, or maybe to air up the tires on your bicycle if you're not driving your car during an emergency situation.
You're going to want to have some lighting. The Oupes 1100 had no problem running the lights in the house, actually several of them simultaneously. And just in case you want a television, well, the television actually comes in at about 75 watts and it would easily run our television set.
The TV that we have is a 40-inch LED set, and that actually runs between 52 and 60 watts. It all depends on how bright the image is on the screen. But we also had all of the lights plugged in our family room, and that was about 5 of these LED bulb lights, and it totaled out at 75 watts, so that would run quite a while. You'd run quite a few evenings with that.
You're, of course, going to be able to plug in your router for your internet. It won't have any problem running that for you, so it'll be up and running for your internet. Here's something else that we thought of, and we actually in our first home had to use a hairdryer repeatedly in order to thaw frozen water pipes. So hairdryer, will it run it?
It will. Now the hairdryer that we have is rated at 1200 watts. That's what it says the rating is on the hairdryer. But this will actually run it because the way that it was running in on the Oupes, it was only using 1032 watts. But as Hope mentioned, We had to thaw out some pipes that
Many
got frozen.
times.
And it would have been so nice to have just brought that down to the opening of the pipes and plugged in the hairdryer and run it off of that. So
Now, just a quick reminder before we move on and tell you what the Oupes 1100 would not run for us. You want to make sure that the total wattage of everything you're plugging in simultaneously does not overreach the capacity of the unit. So once again, we're going to hold it up. This is our tried and true friend, the kilowatt meter, that will tell you exactly how much electricity something uses. And always remember that if it has a motor on it, it's going to have a surge of power in order to start it up, and then that power level will go down as the unit runs. So, but you have to have enough to cover that top surge capacity when it turns on.
But what I liked about the unit, because it has that protection built into it, if you overload it, it has that overload protection. It shuts off the unit right away. It doesn't damage the unit. You turn the unit back off, turn it back on, and you're back up and running again. So you can certainly test out items on it and be safe to do so.
All right, we tried out some things that we thought y'all might need to be able to run during a power outage, and here's what the Oupes 1100 just would not quite run.
Well, it won't run your house AC. No. Most of your home air conditioning units, and I'm talking about central air, those run at 220 volts. But it will run a small window unit, at least for an hour or two.
As we mentioned, our full-size vacuum cleaner, that was a no-go.
It won't power the Dyson. It will not power our popcorn popper. So no popcorn. Bummer.
That's okay. No, I know y'all are going to say I can make it on top of the stove. I know how to do that. I will do that. But we wanted to see, just in case you wanted to use your air popper.
Yeah, it won't run our microwave oven. That's a small oven. It comes in at about 1,250 watts. Won't run that. It just shut down. It will not run most portable heaters. Most portable heaters go beyond the 1,100 watt rating. Toaster ovens, no go. And toasters, that's a no-go. It will run our 1925 waffle iron, which is rated at about 650 watts. So we could have waffles by golly.
If you feel like you really need more tips and strategies for dealing with winter storm preparedness and power outages, we put a whole bunch of them in a 2-part series. There's a link to that series right over there, and that's what you should watch next. Remember, you can get 20% off of Oupes products. There's a link to Oupes and the coupon code in the description